Newcastle manager Eddie Howe is under pressure, but should the Magpies consider sacking him? The Express Sport team discuss Howe's future. Newcastle have endured a tricky last 2 months with 8 defeats in their last 12 matches. The Magpies crashed out of the Champions League at the group stage and suffered Carabao Cup misery with a penalty shootout loss to Chelsea in the quarter-finals. After underwhelming losses to Luton and Nottingham Forest in the Premier League, Newcastle are 10 points behind third-placed Aston Villa after 19 games. Their only win since December 12 was a 3-0 defeat against 10-man Fulham. And it could get worse before it gets better, with Eddie Howe's men facing Liverpool at Anfield, Man City at St James Park and Aston Villa at Villa Park in their next 3. So should Newcastle be giving thought to sacking Howe? Charlie Mallam: should Newcastle sack Eddie Howe right now? No. But is the pressure increasing? Definitely. The defeats to Luton and Nottingham Forest weren't anywhere near good enough, and it's been a December from hell. The nature of their Carabao Cup and Champions League exits were particularly heartbreaking. They desperately need a morale boost in their next few matches, and anything other than victory in the FA Cup against Sunderland will quadruple the weight on Howe's shoulders. But he's been dealing with an incredible amount of injuries and absences. Get a couple of high-quality signings made in January and Newcastle will be right back in the top 4 fight. The Magpies should only consider a change of managers if form hasn't improved by mid-March or so. Tom Parsons: Howe is not the right man to help Newcastle conquer the Premier League and the Champions League. No one can deny he did an outstanding job to turn around the team's fortunes when he initially took over, but, with the Magpies owners seemingly possessing unlimited funds to bankroll the club, they need to aim higher. It's not even a question of giving the manager time. Howe is not an elite manager in the same manner as someone like Pep Guardiola. It's time for Newcastle to find their Guardiola. Charlie Gordon: no chance. The Magpies are on a miserable run, but the mitigating factors are obvious. In Sandro Tonali, Nick Pope, Joe Willock and Sven Botman, who recently returned from injury, Howe has been missing a number of truly vital players. The upcoming run of games is daunting. But Newcastle should give the manager every chance to turn things around and avoid being tempted by their newfound pulling power if a big-name boss becomes available. Archie Griggs: it would be madness for Newcastle to sack Eddie Howe right now, given the incredible job he has done since taking over on Tyneside. The sheer volume of injuries has made it difficult for the Magpies, who are currently missing 9 first-team players, to keep up with the Premier League's biggest hitters, and Howe cannot be blamed for that. Who would they even get in to replace him? José Mourinho recently underlined his desire to stay at Roma despite being tentatively linked with the Magpies job. While there is no guarantee that appointing a big-name coach would be a success, just ask Mauricio Pochettino at Chelsea. The situation could be revisited if Newcastle's poor run of form goes on, but it would be silly to sack their greatest manager in a generation at this point, especially when their rotten luck with injuries is taken into account.